Hello, my name is Michelle and I am a third year medical student. I got into medicine first time even though I missed my grades, and I want to tell you how you can do it as well. So if that's something you want to find out, then keep on watching. So basically I'm going to be talking about a lot of things during this video. I will pop them up here. So I'll pop timestamps in the description as well. So the first thing I want to talk about is work experience. This was definitely my strength. My strength obviously wasn't great since I failed. But yeah, I had a lot of work experience. And the reason for that is that since I was 10 years old, I was in St. John Ambulance. I was a volunteer there every single week until I was nearly 18. I remember a doctor reading my personal statement and he was like, wow, 7 years in St. John Ambulance. He was like, I think he said something along the lines of like the only thing that he'd committed to for that amount of time was medical school. So anything that you can volunteer to for a long period of time would be perfect. So if you're watching this video, maybe you're in sixth form or even later on and you don't have that kind of length of time, then like literally don't worry about it. Just please try and volunteer somewhere on a regular basis, whether it's once a week or twice a week. So for example, if you're in sixth form in year 12, like I would volunteer in a old people's home, for example, just to like build up that commitment to something. I think that medical schools really like this because it shows that, you know, you're a people person, and obviously you've been in a team for such an amount of time, you can't be like terrible, hopefully. And also you'll have possibly learned skills along the way, like leadership and teamwork and communication and stuff like that. So that's all stuff that you can talk about in your personal statement. A lot of people think that the most important work experience is hospital-based work experience or GP or anything, and that is really not the case. You could probably get in without any hospital work experience. Like when I was talking about my experiences on my personal statement, and I also did an extra form, roles and responsibilities form it was called. I don't really think I had much to say about the times that I'd sat in and observed a doctor with a family. There are definitely things to take away from it, communication and stuff like that, but the medical part of it and all the rest of it is just going to go straight over your head. However, saying that, I do think it's really important to have some time in hospital or GP to make sure that that's what you actually want to do. Like I remember someone coming to me in sixth form and like they were a medical student or a doctor, I can't really remember. And they said like it's not like Grey's Anatomy, you need to prove that you know that it's not like Grey's Anatomy. And that was so true. Like up until then, like my only exposure to medicine, and no, I'm not going to say the reason I wanted to do medicine was Grey's Anatomy, but I do love Grey's Anatomy, or I did back then anyway. So yeah, I think it's really important to like have some time in a real hospital with real patients and real doctors and nurses around you to know that this is actually what you want to do, because if you're about to go through a massive process to apply for a 5-year course to be a doctor for the rest of your life, and you need to make sure that that's something you want to do. So that is why you should do work experience. But in terms of like getting into medical school, I think volunteering is more important. Next, I'm going to talk about personal statement. If you want to see a video of me reacting to my personal statement, I will do that. I haven't read it since I was like in year 13. But the most important thing about personal statement is to not just list the things that you've done, but is to talk about what you've learned from it. So for example, instead of saying, oh, I volunteered in St. John Ambulance for 7 years, I would say, when volunteering with St. John Ambulance, I learnt this and this. Not quite that like bluntly, but you get the idea. Like every single thing that you put in, you should talk about what you've learnt from it, because like it's not, if you have 2 personal statements and one is them bragging about like, oh, I spent 8 years in surgery, and if one is like, oh, I spent 1 month in an old person's home, but I learnt this, and you know what I mean. Like it's about what you've learned rather than the quantity of stuff. It's about the quality of what you've been able to take away from it to mean that you're going to make a good doctor and that you actually are dedicated to be a good doctor. I think they're like 2 important parts to get through. Also remember like doctor as a scientist, scholar, and what's the other one? Is it another S or is it just practitioner? I'm gonna have to Google. Yeah, so doctor as a scholar and scientist, doctor as a professional, and doctor as a practitioner. So try and, well, I tried anyway to work these into my personal statement. So for example, for like scientist, I would talk about like lab-based work that I'd done, even though I hated it, I still brought it up. And then obviously like practitioner is all your like volunteering and like care-based work, and then professional, everything else, I suppose. So moving on to UKCAT, which I think is now called the UCAT, but it was the hardest test I have ever done in my whole life, and I actually did it twice. I went through that torture twice. The first time I got 666 and the next time I got 715, so I ended up getting like a really good score. And I've done like a lot of things to try and help my UKCAT, and only one thing really worked. So I have been on like some courses, like I was lucky enough that my school brought external like tutors in and stuff. Didn't help. I've read the books, didn't help. The only thing that helped is Medify. Medify was absolutely wonderful. They have like different subscriptions, and I would just encourage you to get like the longest subscription. I think there's like a couple of months one. That's the one that I got. The first time I did UKCAT, I only got Medify for 2 weeks, and yeah, I didn't get like that good of a score. The second time I knew how hard UKCAT was, so I started really early. I think I got like a 2-month subscription, and I was just like practicing, and yeah, that really worked for me. And I think it would work for everyone. I think the only way to ace the UKCAT is to practice. I literally remember doing it through tears. I would be sat in my bedroom like crying, and I would like still be practicing. Just practice. That is just my biggest tip, because like I said, I've tried fancy courses and reading the books and like top tips and stuff like that, and I would say just like don't waste your time with any of that stuff and just practice. And let's talk about the BMAT. So I didn't do the BMAT, and I'm so glad that I didn't do the BMAT, because the UKCAT was just, it was just enough. Like I said, it was the hardest exam I've ever done. Why would I want to do another one? So my advice to you would be, if at all possible, try and choose all UKCAT universities or all BMAT universities to apply to, because I would not be wanting to do both. So yeah, with UKCAT and BMAT, all I can say is I'm so glad that I only did one. Right, the next thing that you just can't get away from in medicine is the grades. So firstly, there's your GCSE grades, and if you're watching this video and you haven't done your GCSEs yet, then well done, you're just like me, you've always wanted to do medicine, and I'm sure that you'll get there. GCSE grades, are they really important? Aren't they? It's one of those things again where different unis prioritise different things. So like some unis, I'm pretty sure, I don't know, I don't want to make things up, but I'm pretty sure that some unis, like if you don't do well in GCSEs, like they're just not going to consider you. But I actually went to school with someone who definitely got B's in his GCSEs. I think it was like a mixture of A's and B's, and he's now in university doing medicine. So yeah, A's and B's are acceptable, I think. But my kind of ethos through my whole life has just been like, the better you do, like the more doors you'll open for yourself, the easier it'll be to like achieve what you want to. So yeah, just try and do well in your GCSEs basically. I loved my GCSEs, I found them really fun, but A-levels is where I started to struggle. So basically most universities for medicine want AAA for A-level, and some of them want A star AA as well, which happened in my case, unfortunately. Actually, it turned out fine, so I don't know. But anyway, A-levels they were so hard, man, so hard. Like, I hated chemistry. I wanted to like biology, but I just do not agree with AQA biology. Like, I don't like it. The questions don't make sense and blah blah blah. Anyway, A-levels are horrendous. If you're going through it right now, I'm so sorry. So sorry that is happening to you. But obviously, as I said, I actually missed my grades. I ended up getting AAB. I got a B in history, which was crazy, because just to set the record straight, I got an A star in every single mock exam, but obviously something went wrong in the real exam. And thank God my university still let me in, and I fully believe that this is because my university is very heavy on work experience, and as I've said before, I had like a lot of work experience and volunteering under my belt, and obviously I must have performed quite well at interview as well for them to still let me in with AAB, even though I needed A star AA. So just work so hard for your grades, and if I guess I'm saying like if you're like a well-rounded person, instead of putting like all your eggs in one basket, like maybe you'll get in. And also like if you're here like struggling with your A-levels, obviously just like try super hard, but I guess I'm kind of proof that you don't need to like get A star AA to get into medicine. And also if you missed your grades and you're either like on your way to do medicine or you're doing medicine and you're feeling really ashamed, I was so sad that I missed my grades. I felt so stupid compared to everyone else who was like getting A stars and stuff. But really like your grades aren't a definition of how good of a doctor you are or even how clever you are. At A level it's just a case of if you can remember it, and I don't know who's done more past papers at the end of the day, and also if you get lucky, if you know what's on the exam or not. But yeah, more than anything, it just doesn't show how good of a doctor you're going to be, so just keep that in mind. And no one cares about A-level grades when you get to university. Like all you care about is passing your next exam. Some people care about rankings, I never did. So yeah, as soon as you get to university, like that slate just gets like wiped clean. And yeah, just focus on enjoying your time in uni. Be smart about like where you're applying to med school. Don't apply somewhere that really values work experience if you don't have a lot, but you have an amazing UKCAT grade, for example. There is this table somewhere on the internet that says like kind of what the uni is, and then what it kind of cares about, like how much it cares about GCSEs, A-levels, UKCAT, personal statement, etc. So I've just had a quick look, but I can't find it. If I do find it, I'll leave it in the description below. And then finally, I'm going to talk about interviews. So the only type of interview that I did was MMI. That is multiple mini interview where like there's lots of different stations. The interview that I performed best in was the one that I didn't actually want to go to, and that meant that I wasn't stressed. So I really think that stress is your biggest enemy. Don't try and be someone that you're not. At the end of the day, they're looking to see if you're going to be a good fit in their medical school, and I do feel like I fit in like really well in my medical school, like the type of person I am. And I'm actually glad that I didn't get accepted into like another medical school where I wouldn't have fit in, if that makes any sense at all. So just try and be yourself. Like I know that one station at the medical school where I'm at now asked about like my personal statement, and they were like, oh, really quickly, I just want to ask about like the essay competition that you did. And then we were both just like, I must have been smiling so much, and so was the tutor, because it was just like a time to like talk about like my passions. And I'm just really glad that I had that station, and it just reminded me of like who I am. And you know, you want to be a doctor because it's part of who you are at the end of the day. Like you don't want to pretend to be someone that you're not for your whole life, so why should you for your interview? One thing that I'm really glad that I brushed up on was my ethics. There's definitely a lot of ethics scenarios, so know like your pillars, you know, like justice, autonomy, non-maleficence, and beneficence. Know those, know some like ethical situations and scenarios and how to approach them, and yeah, you'll be fine. Have good communication skills as well, not just with the tutors, but they might have like a situation where they put you with like a fake patient. Mine did, and obviously I was totally fine with that because I've been dealing with patients since I was 10, but other people might not be. So make sure that you like practice with family or something like that, kind of like your bedside manner and how to be polite, and also like try and fill silences. No one really likes to just sit there in awkward silence. So like if you do have a fake patient there, you know, ask them like, oh, how's your day been, or how are you feeling? If you do have like one bad station, it's kind of a skill, but just make sure that you put it out of your mind before you go into the next station. Try not to like carry it with you, because it probably didn't go as badly as you thought it was. If it went badly for you as well, like it probably went badly for other people, and then like the kind of boundary to like pass will be like really low, or however they do it. So yeah, don't let one bad station ruin like your whole experience. So my camera's gonna die now. That is the end of my video. If you enjoyed this, please like and subscribe, and comment below any more questions you have or any more videos you want to see from me. Bye!